All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Jiggy and Joe Show.
I'm Joe.
I'm Max, and we are honored to be speaking with Texas A&M product, ninth overall pick to the Dolphins in 1990, two-time first-team All-Pro and two-time second-team All-Pro, 7 consecutive Pro Bowls, and was named to the 1990s All-Decade team, Richmond Webb.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on the show.
So I wanted to start with your background. So you grew up in Dallas, Texas, and you went to Texas A&M. So I was wondering, was Texas A&M always on the top of your list, like your number one school being recruited? And or what were your other options coming out?
Well, back then they had a conference called the Southwest Conference, and instead of the Big 12, it was the Big 8. And I pretty much received letters from all around the country, but I wanted to kind of stay close to home. Didn't want to go too far, so I pretty much considered most of the schools in Texas, and then outside of Texas, I took a visit to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So it was A&M, Texas A&M, Baylor. I visited Texas, SMU, Oklahoma State, and eventually made the decision to go to Texas A&M, and one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah, and I mean, I bet Texas A&M is like very important to people in Texas, and I know football is very important in like Texas culture. So yeah, Texas A&M was probably the best decision, I feel.
No question. I've met lifelong friends, guys you battle with, and even though we don't play anymore, to go back for like the spring game, or we'll have an alumni, weekend, or where we won a Southwest Conference championship, they bring guys in. So just to keep that camaraderie and that fellowship going, it was amazing.
Absolutely. And you were also named to the 1990s All-Decade team, NFL All-Decade team. So I wanted to ask you, with names such as being linked to names such as Charles Woodson, John Elway, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, who are also members of that team, and we're all Hall of Famers. Do you feel like, even though you haven't gotten in the Hall of Fame yet, do you feel like the opportunity is coming? And are you like a little, like, do you feel like, are you like, I don't know the proper word to say, but are you a little, I guess,
disappointed?
Disappointed? Right, Joe, thank you.
Yeah.
Disappointed that you haven't been in yet?
I wouldn't say disappointed. I do believe that I have the resume that's deserving to be in there. Absolutely. And I understand the process is tough and tedious for a lot of people. And, some guys get in right away, and some it takes a little longer. But when you putting in, 6 or 7 guys a year, and, they start with over 100 and then will it down to 15 or so semifinal or 15 finalists out of that many guys, to even be put on the list, you got to be pretty deserving. So I think I still have a shot, and I think I'm deserving. And, like some of the accolades and awards I've achieved over the years, it just takes a little time. So I'm always happy for the guys that make it in, but I still think I got a shot to get in there. So I'm just being patient.
And I hope it happens pretty soon. But obviously, you're one of the best Dolphins players in their history. And along with that, you play with people like Dan Marino, Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas. What was it like playing with them and then blocking like legends like Jason Taylor in practice?
Yeah, Jason and Zach came a little bit after me, but when I first got there, it was, of course, Dan Marino, Coach Don Shula, and seeing those guys on, Monday Night Football and stuff like that, and then actually getting a hold with them, and then playing with guys like Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. So the standard was already set, it was very high. So when me and Keith came in, we just fit right in, and the expectation was to be, was tremendously high. They already had a reputation of winning. And so Coach Shula was good about, not just praising you for the good things, but the little things, penalties, mental errors, stuff like that. Those are the things that sometimes can make the difference in, winning or losing a football game. So you learn that early on, and it was instilled in me early on. And so, you just took it and ran with it. And then as the years pass along, like you said, Jason Taylor, you get a Zach Thomas, Pat Surtain, Tim Bowens, Sam Madison. So it continues, and that's why we had such a good run, or we were pretty consistent. Even though we didn't get to the Super Bowl, we were consistently a good playoff team, and that was from everybody buying into what was already established.
Did you have? I was just wondering, did you have any like big competition against like some of these defensive players on the D line? Like, who's the best player that you have faced on the D line, whether it be the Dolphins or like any other team in the NFL?
Yeah, the toughest guy I played against in my career was Bruce Smith, and hands down, he just did everything really well. And to face that guy sometimes 2-3 times a year, depending on if we went to the playoffs, it was, you had 60 minutes of hell. You had to be prepared. And, I always look forward to playing against the very best, because that's your measuring stick to see where you at. So not that it's going to be an easy task or whatever, but a lot of time those type of players bring the best out of you. So I always look forward to playing against Buffalo. It was one of our arch rivalries, and that was one of the teams that, we just couldn't get over the hurdle to get to a Super Bowl. They went to 4 Super Bowls in a row. And I think a lot of times people don't realize how great that team really was, even though they didn't win any, but to go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls in a row, I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment within itself.
Yeah. And you were talking about Don Shula. And I've always heard really funny stories about Manny Fernandez and Larry Zonka putting a baby gator in Shula's office. I was wondering if you had any stories like that during your playing career under Shula.
I mean, I don't have nothing to top. I mean, I met Larry Zonka, and when you meet some of the guys that played back in the 72 team, Larry Little, and just some of the Cat Mercury Morris, and they get to start telling stories. I mean, they did stuff that we would never think about even doing. So when I heard the alligator story, that's why I started laughing, because I couldn't believe it. And, listening to those guys, I mean, you learn from your history. And, I thought it was tough when we came in, and then to find out when Coach Shula took over, they actually had 3-a-day practices, which I never heard of. And I was like, oh my goodness. So, you think it's bad, but you look back and say, oh, it could be a lot worse. But I think, those are the guys that are responsible for establishing what the organization was, the winning tradition. It started back with those guys. So just to sit back and listen and enjoy, you can kind of imagine, but you wasn't there with them. But, that was a special group. And but like I said, man, when I started hearing stories and some of the pranks they did on Coach Shula, I was like, I don't know how y'all got the nerve, but it was just a different group of characters back then. But I love listening to those stories.
And I also heard of one other story of when a player was late to practice and he hopped over the fence at training camp, and Shula saw him come in late and wait until he was in the line and sent him back over the fence and back the way he came, and then cut him. So I just heard a lot of funny stories, and those stories are always awesome to hear, like from anywhere. Like,
and the funny thing about that is, he probably wasn't supposed to be jumping over. He was supposed to be at camp, so that means you probably wasn't there for curfew. You were doing something you wasn't supposed to, and when other guys saw that, hey, he probably cut this guy, it was just don't tolerate any nonsense like that, because that type of stuff can cost you games and stuff like that. And I think that's why he really kept a tight rein on everything. And that's why I was kind of explaining the story about the alligator. When they told that story, I couldn't believe it, because he loved his players, but he was really tough on us. But at times you could joke with him and stuff. But when it was time to go to work, we knew it was time to go to work. And that guy, he said, no, he's not ready. So he made him jump the fence and then cut it. I hadn't heard that one, but that's a pretty good story. I'm going to have to remember that one there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with Don Shula's mind and like dedication to the game, there have been some many great moments in Dolphins history and your tenure as well. You probably get this a lot, but I kind of want to talk about the fake spike. So as a Jets fan myself, I've seen the fake spike many times. Of course, not when I was alive, but on YouTube and everything. I want to know what went into that play, and did you have confidence and it would work? Because it was like it was a very new concept, right? Didn't he kind of created it and made it happen for future NFL seasons. So I want to know did you know beforehand, and were you confused on what was going to happen?
Well, first thing I got to address is Max. You see, he tried to slip in that he's a Jets fan.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey, so
Don't give me no excuses. You just a Jet fan. So we got Dolphin fans up there too, but no. The funny thing about that, and it is a great story, is we were in the game and he called clock, and if you kind of go back and look at that play, if you really look at the offensive lineman, you can tell none of us knew that he was going to do that, because of our reaction. The defensive line take a couple steps, stop, and then they start back up. And you're kind of like, what are y'all doing? He said, clock.
Yeah, that's what
he
I was
throws
asking.
the football, and then, matter of fact, one of my Aggie brothers, Aaron Glenn, played for the Jets, and he was like, no, it was a clock play. And then the ref threw his hands up, and, we were all excited because of the Jets. It was always tough going to the Meadowlands to play the Jets and stuff like that. So we won that game. And then we asked Dan after the game, like, hey, why y'all didn't tell the offensive line about it, this and that? And, because we look kind of crazy when you would look at the replay. And he was like, oh, we didn't tell you guys because we'd have told y'all would have screwed the play up. And so it was like, okay, so they felt we didn't need to know. And I guess as long as it worked, and that play, and I think Aaron Rodgers, matter of fact, did that play and actually did against the Dolphins a few years back, and actually worked. So it's just, it's just something you don't think about, that you catch the defense kind of low sleep, because most of the time you just spike the ball in the ground, but you fake that spike and then hit a receiver right quick. I mean, that was huge. I don't know who came up with the play. I just know it did work. But yeah, that was a good win for us.
And it probably would have worked out better too, since you guys were confused, because the defensive line was confused as well, right? And maybe if you knew what you were doing, maybe they would have known what was going on. Pretty much.
Like you say, we would have probably been trying to block too hard just to make, we'd have gave it away, because it was like, no.
Yeah.
It worked, and I said, okay, it worked. So you're not gonna get an argument out of me. So that's it.
Yeah, and before that fake spike, you guys had that crazy comeback, right? Obviously, the Jets had a 17-0 lead at one point in the game. I wanted to know, when did you guys feel you guys had a shot at winning that game during that point?
Well, a lot of times, I remember the game. I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the fake spike.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can tell when you're in a football game, if you swing the momentum and you kind of get things going back your way, and you make the play, you score a touchdown or kick a field goal, and it kind of gets things going. You say you got a chance, even though you hadn't completed the process, you kind of get the momentum, and then you go down and you score again, and you say, okay, and then the other team kind of tightens up, and you bring that up. And it was another game we played against the Jets, which, he'll probably be smiling on this one, but we played him on Monday night, and I think we went up.
Yeah.
Was it 28 or? I mean, we killed the Jets the first half. I mean, just ran through them. I mean, they didn't know what hit them. And then the second half, I can remember my old teammate Brian Cox was with the Jets, and he's like, "Man, we're gonna come back and win this game." Man, get out of here. We got this wrapped up, and then they actually came back and beat us. It was in the Meadowlands, and I think the thing that sticks out to me that game was Jumbo Elliott. He was, I think, the left tackle. He played with the Giants.
That's the Monday Night Miracle, right?
He caught a touchdown that game. I was like,
did you think that was a drop? At first, did you think that was a drop? Because I think replay.
I didn't think it was a drop. I know it was a touchdown because everybody in green, dark green and white, was yelling up and down, and I was like, I was like, it's almost like you keep saying this can't happen, and it keeps happening. We couldn't do anything to swing the momentum back in our favor. So that's I've been on both sides of it. So yeah, that's the thing there. Yeah.
Ugly colors, Richmond. Ugly colors, green and white.
Oh man,
hey, it's all right though.
Max, who's your team?
Dolphins.
Yeah,
okay.
He's a Dolphins fan.
1 out of 2 ain't bad. We're gonna work on you, Joe. Don't worry about it. We're gonna
We've been going to every Jets Dolphins game every year.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a yearly tradition.
Yeah.
So anyway, at the end of your career, you signed with the Cincinnati Bengals for a couple of years. So, what were your emotions leaving the Dolphins, where you thrived for so long and really built up your accolades, and everyone knows you as a Miami Dolphin for life?
Yeah.
So, what was that like, detaching yourself from that situation, becoming a Cincinnati Bengal?
Well, it was, it was tough. I mean, I look back at it, and I looked at it at the time. It wasn't anything personal, on the side of mine. It was a business decision, and at that time, I had started to have kind of injuries consistently, this and that. And so, from a business standpoint, they got to look at it and say, does it make sense to sign this guy? And you might not get. And I got that, but I still wanted to continue to play. So, got an opportunity to go to the Bengals and went there, played there, and they welcomed me with open arms, and played there 2 years. A lot of great guys, and got to experience another NFL team and how the fan support and stuff like that, which was tough then. The Bengals wasn't very good, but the fan support was just amazing. But loved living in the Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky area. It was right there on the border. But it was good, but it allowed me to continue to do the game that I love, this and that. And then after I retired, of course, I called the Dolphins and said, hey, I want to retire Dolphin, and they welcomed me back with open arms. So I was gone for a couple of years and came back. But I mean, I understood the process, but like you said, if I could have, I would have wanted to just finish everything in Miami, but it didn't work out that way. But it was no love lost. I understand it. That was just the business part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe, do you have any more questions?
I mean, with those injuries, like when did you start to realize that retirement was coming for you in your NFL career, and how was your transition to retirement like after football? I just wanted one last question.
Yeah, they started, I had my elbows scoped twice, both of them. And then I had my knee scoped, and then my last year in Cincinnati, I tore my pec and started to come back, this and that. And then I tried, then I said, I had a good run. I said, I played 13 years. And I decided, no, it's time to go home. So I went home, but it took me about 4 years, man, to kind of like, I'm gonna say detox or change, because you've done something for so long. So like say right after the draft, minicamp, you kind of get that itch because you got minicamp, quarterback school coming up, and then around July, August, training camp start, but you're at home with your family rather than being, locked up with the guys for 5 or 6 weeks. And so I kind of got away from watching it first, then I kind of gradually got back in it. But I'd say it took me about maybe 4 years, and then kind of made the adjustment. But it's just when you've done something for so long, you're in a rhythm. It just took me a minute to kind of come out of that.
Especially as a lineman, like I feel the lineman in the NFL gets the most injuries because they have the most impact, other than like running back, I'd assume. So having those injuries like knee injuries and ankle injuries, stuff like that, can take a toll on your body. And I mean, you had a great career, so I mean, it's really not much to complain about.
No, nothing. I mean, you don't get an opportunity to do what I did.
Yeah.
To play in the fans, and that's the highest level. And I don't take it for granted. It went faster than what I thought. And I remember when I first came in, guys told me, said, man, before you know it. So time really moves faster than what you think, but just the experience, going to different cities, playing against, the different NFL teams, the rivalries, stuff like that. I enjoyed that. So I look back, I'm always grateful, fortunate, even get to mess with Jet fans every now and then when I find you got somebody new on the line.
I respect all you guys. So
I respect you too, Joe. I'm just giving you a hard time. So
it's all good. I know you're trying to transition me to a Dolphins fan, but I don't know.
Oh, we're gonna reel you in. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're not gonna tell a Jets fan. We're gonna keep you undercover. That's what we're gonna do. You might need some information, Max. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Double agent for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate. I think we kept you a little bit too long. I really appreciate you coming on. and I hope we can do this again soon. And
Thank you.
Joe, do you have anything else to add? Or
most of the time I just tell people you can find me on. Most of the time I'm on Twitter, so it's my Twitter handle is @Richmond Webb.
Yep.
I'm on Facebook, Richmond Webb, and then on Instagram. I got on there, but I don't get on Instagram all the time. It's @TheReal Richmond Webb. But other than that, and can you believe somebody had my name, Richmond Webb? You know,
Really?
it's kind of like two last names. So most of the time you don't think
Yeah.
someone had that, but someone had it on Instagram. So I said, okay, I had to come up with something different. But other than that, man, I appreciate, Joe, Max, y'all having me on the show. It was fun. And yeah, we can do it again. So that's no problem.
Absolutely. Obviously you have a Hall of Fame resume, and it's honestly like you and your teammate old teammate Zach Thomas. I don't know how they're not in the Hall. I don't know how you guys are not in the Hall of Fame yet. It's honestly a crime, in my opinion, that you guys haven't made it in yet. So next year, I hope you get your opportunity to finally put on that gold jacket, and hopefully we get to talk to you before football season starts again. And wish you the best.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
All right.
So this was the Jiggy and Joe show.
All right. Peace out.